In this video, we'll talk about the method of markers as a method of fair division. Here's how the method of markers works. First, we're talking about discrete assets. Those are assets that can't be divided up in any way we want. They're going to stay as whole items. All of the assets are laid out in a straight line, and each player gets a chance to place markers throughout the line to divide up the assets into equal portions. The idea is that each player should be happy getting any of the portions that they defined. In this example, we have 4 players. To make things simple, we've just denoted them A, B, C, and D. They are dividing 15 items shown below, and they're going to use the method of markers. We can also see where they place their marks. Let's look one by one and see how the players place their marks. First, player A placed 1 mark between items 3 and 4. Their next mark was between items 7 and 8. Their third marker they placed between items 12 and 13. That means that player A would be satisfied if they received items 1 through 3, 4 through 7, 8 through 12, or 13 through 15. They consider each of these portions a fair share. Now let's look at where player B placed their markers. Player B put their first marker between items 4 and 5, their second marker between items 7 and 8, and their third marker between items 11 and 12. They feel that each portion of the assets, as divided by their markers, would be a fair share. Now that all 4 players have made their marks, we can divide up the assets using the method of markers. The first step is to move from left to right, and as soon as you touch the first marker, that player gets that share. Moving from left to right, the first marker that we run into is A1, or player A's first marker. So items 1 through 3 are given to player A. We no longer need to take the other 2 markers from player A into consideration. Now we will continue moving left to right, and we'll stop when we reach the first player's second marker. Moving from left to right, the second marker we come to is player B's. So player B receives their second portion. And now we do not need to consider player B's third marker. Finally, moving from left to right, we stop when we reach the first player's third marker. We get to player C's third marker first, so player C gets their third portion. Player C's third portion goes from item 10 to item 13. The only player left is player D, and so they get their 4th portion. Their 4th portion only contained item 15. Remember, they put the markers there, so that means they consider just item 15 alone a fair share. At this point, every player has one of the portions that they defined. That is, they all have what they consider to be a fair share. Now it's time to divvy up the remaining items. The remaining items, items 4, 8, 9, and 14, will all be divvied out using a random draw. And this is sufficient, considering every player already has a fair share. Anything that they get into addition would be more than a fair share, and does not take away from another player's fair share. And this is how we play the method of markers.